I do not like broccoli. And I haven't liked it since I was a little kid. And my mother made me eat it. And I'm president of the United States. And I'm not going to eat any more broccoli.
That was George H.W. Bush, a March 23, 1990 press conference at the White House. An historic day in his presidency. The first time as president, George Bush publicly declared his hatred of broccoli. We are running this podcast on Thanksgiving, so it seems appropriate to focus on a food. Specifically, a food you might find at the Thanksgiving table. Or, in President George Bush's case, a food he wouldn't want at the Thanksgiving table. So loosen your pants, lay on the couch, tune out the relatives, and listen instead to this episode of C-SPAN's The Weekly, because it's our annual Thanksgiving-themed food podcast. And this time, it's all about President Bush and a side dish.
Make your Giving Tuesday donation go twice as far. This year, you can double the impact of your gift to C-SPAN and support unfiltered access to your government. A generous C-SPAN supporter has pledged to match the first $10,000 in donations, meaning every dollar you give will be matched, making your contribution go twice as far. By supporting C-SPAN, you ensure transparent, unfiltered access to your government. Our no commentary, no spin coverage allows you to make up your own mind. Don't wait for Giving Tuesday. Make your impact today. Donate now at cspan.org/donate, and your contribution will be matched dollar for dollar. Visit cspan.org/donate today to help keep democracy unfiltered. Thank you.
Face it, George Bush just didn't like broccoli. How did we learn that? From enterprising reporters. Here's Charles Fenovese appearing on C-SPAN, November 20th, 1991. Charles Fenovese, who died earlier this month, edited the Washington Whispers column in U.S. News and World Report.
You've been with U.S. News since 1985. How long have you written this column?
88, I think, or 89, something like that.
Which piece has gotten you the most reaction?
Broccoli. When President Bush decided that he hates broccoli, and our most able White House correspondent, Ken Walsh, discovered from his sources on Air Force One that President Bush dislikes broccoli, and we had a 15 or 20-line item on it. It went around the world. Unbelievable, the pickup on this.
The item was reported in March 1990. On March 23rd, President Bush made the remarks about the broccoli you heard at the beginning. The next chapter in the broccoli saga occurred 3 days later. We'll let the C-SPAN announcer describe the plot development.
Monday morning, First Lady Barbara Bush accepted 3 cases of broccoli on the south lawn of the White House from George Dunlop, president of the United Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Association. The shipment represents approximately 10 tons of broccoli donated to Washington, D.C. area food banks by California growers. The donation and delivery to the White House were prompted by a statement recently made by President Bush that he disliked the vegetable.
And here's First Lady Barbara Bush at that event, invoking a quote-unquote food President Bush did like.
I'm going to tell you the honest truth. The president is never going to eat broccoli. But I'm never going to eat pork rinds, ever.
Think that was the end of the story? Think again, because what came next? Jokes, and lots of them. Not just from the late-night talk show comics, but from President Bush himself. Let's go to the beginning of 1992. With the New Hampshire primary approaching, President Bush goes on a 12-day trip to Asia. On January 8, 1992, he attends a banquet hosted by Japanese Prime Minister Kiichi Miyazawa. At around 8:20 p.m. Japanese time, between the second and third courses, President Bush vomits onto Prime Minister Miyazawa's trousers. Doctors blamed acute gastroenteritis. A week later, President Bush was in New Hampshire, January 15, 1992, a Rotary Club dinner in Portsmouth. This time, no vomiting, but President Bush is back to talking about and blaming broccoli.
But thanks for the warm welcome. Hugh Gregg asked me to deliver his speech tonight. For those of you who will remember the 4 years ago, he delivered my speech 4 years ago. But you've heard once again the story of my last visit here, and you wondered, well, was it the broccoli that did it? And I appreciate Harry out here working it out. And it is great to see so many friendly and familiar faces, neighbors and friends that I've gotten to know over the years. Captain Mark, you were very nice to mention Barbara Bush, who believes in your work very much. has taken a leadership role in that cause, that wonderful cause, as you do the Lord's work, and I'm very sorry that she's not here. And if you really want to make my day, please don't ask why she didn't come. Everybody's talking about, where's Barbara? We miss her very, very much. So, I told her I didn't need her. I was not going to throw up. So, you guys, you talk about, hey, look, it was a 24-hour flu. How many people here have had the flu? And I bet none of you have done it quite so dramatically. And I'd like a loan because it costed a lot to dry clean a suit over there in Japan, and the Prime Minister had a nice, expensive one. Now, it's been used to have a nice, expensive one. Sorry.
On July 23, 1992, President Bush is in Annandale, Virginia, remarks at Northern Virginia Community College, signing the Higher Education Amendment of 1992, and dissing on broccoli.
But I told Dr. Ernst that I'm impressed with NOVA's mission, curriculum, and most especially your choice of last year's commencement speaker. Silver-haired philosopher named Barbara Bush, who still feels honored and delighted. But there are a couple of things I don't like to do. You know, one, eating broccoli. But the other is speaking where Barbara has already spoken. It's sort of like being asked to play guitar after Garth Brooks.
4 days later, July 27, 1992, remarks in Grand Rapids, Michigan, inside the factory of the Holland American Wafer Company. The company provided sugar wafers, cookies, sugar wafer cookies, peanut butter, snacks, fudge sticks, granola, cereal, and cereal bars. In other words, an ideal setup for President Bush to take a gratuitous shot at broccoli. He did not disappoint.
And Americans may not realize it when they reach for the cereal on the shelves, but this industry, our food industry, provides more food for less than any other nation in the entire world. And the company, this one, is one reason we are the world's leader. And so I'm pleased to announce that Stu and John have recruited me for a national crusade. Starting today, I will not only argue passionately that broccoli's benefits are overblown, but that sugar wafers should be one of the 4 essential ingredients in a healthy diet.
On August 20th, 1992, at the Republican convention in Houston, President Bush spoke at a prayer breakfast. Guess which food was a punchline?
I'm delighted to address this ecumenical prayer breakfast on this great occasion. You see, breakfast speeches are always my favorite. I figure it's the one meal where broccoli is never served.
For balance, we probably should serve up another vegetable. February 4th, 1992, President Bush speaks to the National Grocers Association. The purpose of the speech, defending his fiscal year 1993 budget, but also showing up in his remarks, broccoli and asparagus.
And it's a great pleasure, and I really mean that, to be here with this enthusiastic group. I originally had planned to be at your dinner last night, but then I found out it was called the Asparagus Club Banquet. Thought I better not take a chance. And you know why, dangerously close. But, okay, Barbara won the broccoli war. I said what I thought, and she got out and received all these broccoli growers, and sales shot up about 500%.
Finally, what about President Bush's son? Is George W. Bush a fan of broccoli? Well, let's hear what the younger President Bush said on December 5th, 2018, at the National Cathedral when he delivered his father's eulogy.
To us, he was close to perfect, but not totally perfect. His short game was lousy. He wasn't exactly Fred Astaire on the dance floor. The man couldn't stomach vegetables, especially broccoli. And by the way, he passed these genetic defects along to us.
And now, a bonus clip. You know which president loved broccoli, or at least said he did? Barack Obama. Here's President Obama, July 10th, 2015, making remarks to the winners of the Health Lunchtime Challenge. The event was called the Kids State Dinner, and we should add a big asterisk to this clip. President Obama is standing alongside First Lady Michelle Obama.
I also noticed that there are a lot of good vegetables on the menu, including my favorite vegetable, broccoli. Did somebody raise their hand?
Well, I told these two that was your favorite.
You didn't believe me? It's true. I love broccoli. I eat it all the time. Anybody else love broccoli? That's what I'm talking about.
And that's what we've been talking about, too, in this broccoli episode of C-SPAN's The Weekly. Before ending, since it's Thanksgiving, we want to give thanks to Shannon Rice, Caitlin Jacobs, Kate Mills, and everyone else at C-SPAN Radio who keep the C-SPAN podcast and audio content going nonstop year-round. For now, thanks for listening, thanks for giving, and happy searching.